Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to our LinkedIn Live for Breaking the Grade for today. If you are joining us live, um, I kind of look like I got run over by a truck, and that truck's name was Benson Boone. I took our daughter to see Benson Boone last night in the great city of Philadelphia, and I got to hang out with Mr. John Gamba, who will be joining us today, but he's getting his camera right. He's probably getting his hair right as well, knowing John. Yesterday, I left with our daughter here, Camila, at noon from Washington, D.C.'s Union Station, went up on the train 2 hours up to Philly. And on the train ride, I got to spend time with Michael Golden from Penn and some of John's colleagues as we were doing judging for the Milken competition. And then John picked us up and we went and had the John Gamba tour of the University of Pennsylvania. And if you are so lucky, I encourage you one day to get the John Gamba tour of the University of Pennsylvania. And then from there, we got to go to hang out with John, have dinner with John, and then our daughter, Camila, and I went to Benson Boone. And if you don't know Benson Boone, he's this super cool rock star who is beloved by 10-year-old girls, and he does flips. So here's John. I had the benefit of seeing his beautiful face yesterday, but you guys do not have the benefit of seeing his face because his camera does not seem to be working. John, can you hear me? Hello, John. Let's see if this will wake John up. Football is starting today, so maybe John's mind is on the Eagles. But had a great time with John. Had a great time with our daughter Camila, and Benson Boone. So today, though, we are not here to talk about Benson Boone. I was just explaining as to why I'm wearing a hat and look like I got run over by a truck. And there he is. Of course, John, had the rest of the morning to get ready, and I'm pretty sure he got a haircut in the meantime, because part of a little different since I last saw you.
Yeah, I can't stand that I am so technically phobic and that happened. So I apologize, Josh. I know you're punctual, but I'm on in Firefox, which is pretty cool. Normally I go Chrome. I went Chrome, Firefox, and then this last time it just happened. So your behind the scenes crew is awesome. I'm here. You look great considering what was going on. I heard the intro. I'm so happy for Camila to see Benson Boone, to see you yesterday, to give her a tour of the great University of Pennsylvania. She was so inspired. She was so engaged. That was so awesome. She got to meet some students, some professors, our dean. She met Dean Strong. So that was really, really great.
Yeah, that kid is not rattled by anything.
She's amazing. She really rolls with the punches.
Yeah, well, and behind the scenes, John was there when, this girl, our Camila, she's 10 and a half, and there's only so much excitement. There's only so much excitement and sushi you can pack in her little body. And so after we had dinner, I think her little stomach was trying to figure out, are we excited about Benson Boone? Did we eat too much sushi? So we had a few minutes,
especially the kind of sushi she ate. So that was, but you might want to share with our great audience. There's irony in all this, because you talk about her little stomach, but remember what we said about this experience and what we're in the business of, and the quote that you said you put on the mirror. So it almost actually happened.
That is so funny. So let me find this quote here. So I told John, hey, we're going to come to this concert. And he's like,
I'm going to surprise her.
Yeah. And so I said,
he's gonna,
let me see. I got to find, I gotta find Happy Labor Day. $4 definitely. Sorry guys, give us a second because this is on the quote board. But sister got. Let me see here. Oh, I said Camila didn't know we were coming, and I said it would be best if you are. Let's chat about it. So I said she knows nothing yet. She will shit her pants. And John said that sounds great. Hashtag or thumbs up emoji. We're on Earth to make people shit their pants.
And she almost did.
And then she almost did. Darn it. So that's some behind the scenes. That was Camila's two dads yesterday.
Yeah.
But she had an amazing concert and we had a wonderful time. And then we were back on the train at 6:26 in the morning. And she is
as
at
Uncle
school
John was working at 5.
Uncle John was working. Exactly. Pounding coffee from his Mr. Coffee. So that's some behind the scenes shit there, literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
Everybody, thank you for joining us. We are here to talk about two things. Usually each show, we just talk about kind of one topic, but in this show, we're going to talk about YourWay. And then we're also going to talk about the Milken competition. And if you are willing to, in the chat, put where you are, feel free to put your LinkedIn profile, what you're working on, and ask us questions. We're going to start with YourWay. So, John, can you give some background on YourWay as a company, Jaime, Jason, what they're doing, and then we'll get to kind of the Rays and their connection with Penn.
Yeah, so YourWay, I've worked with them for a while. The great Jason Green and Jaime Pelas, they have been working in the area of professional learning for a long time, and we're very early, on this evolution from project-based learning to blended learning. Actually, Jason co-wrote the book on blended learning, now into how to embed AI for student-centered learning. And the work that they've been doing with some of the largest school districts, from Clark County to New York City schools, list goes on. I think Dallas, LAUSD, big Chicago public schools, really got my attention in terms of teaching teachers how to dip their toe in the water on embedding AI in classroom management or in instructional tools. And they built a platform called YourWay, and it has AI-powered instructional tools that teachers can try out, and an actual editor to walk a teacher through creating their own AI tools to drive student-centered learning. Things for like social emotional learning lessons, things like project-based learning lessons. And they came to us and said, hey, we've got this vision of a course, an asynchronous course that provides the foundations of using AI in the classroom, ethically, securely, privately. Would you like to partner on it? And we said at Penn GSE, of course, we'll bring our professors to the table. We'll share best practices on embedding AI in the student-centered classroom, and we'll credential it. So teachers can get an actual Penn GSE certificate of completion by taking the Penn GSE YourWay AI Foundations course. Great partnership. All that's to say, they continue to lead not only on that course side where we're partnered, but on their platform side. And they've recently announced a raise of $9 million in their Series A. So they're doing a lot of things right, and it couldn't happen to a better team. Jaime and Jason are fantastic. They're partners. They're friends. Like we say a lot of times, Josh, they're one of us. And you got to interview Jaime and Dr. Golden in Mexico, right? Tell us about that. That's where you played. And yeah.
I mean, that was the basis for this last show. It was a great interview. And I met Jason when we were at ASU GSV back in April. So I've met both of them. How much does founder DNA matter when it comes to actually being successful?
When you say founder DNA, I'm assuming you're saying when an investor or a prospect is looking at the founder, how much of the founder's vision, mission, core values are embedded in the execution or embedded in the product or platform that's being circulated, presented, and invested in.
I would take it one step further and also say how much of their DNA as it relates to persistence, focus, openness, problem solving. So all of that, how much does that matter?
Critically important, super important. That's something that investors and prospects look at, and can't say enough about those values and those qualities that Jason and Jaime have demonstrated and exhibited over a long period of time.
It is over a long period of time, and I'm gonna talk about that because Jaime is 53, and so talk about and I know you can go deep on this, but just like age and humility and being humbled by your business over and over again. How important is that?
The battle scars are important. I've shared on this show that, on my major exit on the company that I co-founded that was eventually sold to Blackboard, significant exit. Company died 9 lives, 8.5, 9 lives, right? There was times over holidays, and there was partner troubles, and there was payroll issues, and there was IP challenges, and I felt like I was the chief psychologist of the company more than the president and CEO. But we persisted, and we demonstrated a lot of grit, and we came together, and we were able to, persist and eventually sell the business. But I do think that builds a lot of character. I think that, the fail fast, fail smart, be persistent, be resilient, overcoming adversity is the founder or the entrepreneur's life. And the more that we can do that with humility and will, the more that we'll eventually become successful and get it right. But I see that as being a significant component of a founder's DNA, some of those values. And I share that in some of my talks when I'm talking to young entrepreneurs who are saying to themselves, what is the key to success? What can I do to really get to that level of an exit like you did or like some of the others do? And I think that Jason and Jaime and YourWay is really on their way to doing that.
It's amazing. It wasn't Alvin on my team is in the back here. You met Alvin. It was about 20 minutes ago that this business humbled me in a conversation with Alvin, as we're trying to scale and do some different things. I mean, and
say more.
Alvin and I were having a tough conversation about some things that we want to do, some things that aren't getting done. Why aren't those things getting done? It's all about growth. It's all about communication. It's all about respect. And
do you remember the advice my mentor gave me about that?
No.
That I shared at ERDI?
No, but at some point we need to re-air that or air that. But yes, go ahead.
That just really reminded me of, when you have that conversation with Alvin, or any founder has the conversations with any of their stakeholders. It could be their business partners, it could be their board, it could be subordinates, it could be anyone. And the lesson that I learned was, how do you step on someone's shoes without having them shine? And that's really another way of saying you have to be open, direct, and honest, and not worry about scuffing some shoes up sometimes, and doing it in a way that is open and honest and real and intentional. You can't just lash out, but if you can do it in a way that there's some shared understanding and shared responsibility, and you can walk out of those tough conversations without having someone's shoes lose their shine, that's really an important quality of a leader.
Yeah, that was a great talk that John gave at the RDI. At some point, we should air that. And so I appreciate John's idea here of, how to be direct, but also
empathetic.
Yeah, empathetic. Yeah, true. So when we are talking about YourWay, I think that there are some takeaways for our listeners that are really important for them to recognize. First of all, humility potentially scales what ego can't. At 53, Jaime leaves that ego at the door, and you can hear that in this show. Founder DNA is important, and some of the words I use, persistence, strategic focus, and openness, those things matter. This is not for everybody. This seems to be clearly for Jaime and for Jason, and together they're better. Past failures can be fuel. For John, it was 8.5 or probably 8.9 lives that his business lived through. And then finally, partnerships can multiply credibility. And they have a heck of a partnership with the University of Pennsylvania and the Graduate School of Education. All of those things combine to position YourWay to not only make the raise, but to get onto a different level here in a very, very crowded space. How crowded is this space of AI in education?
Very crowded and very noisy. And I'll go back to saying another lesson that I've learned. Again, Jaime's 53, I'm 55. Got him beat, and again, learned a lot of lessons. And Jaime's the guy that'll tell you first that he's learned a lot from his mentors as well. And here's one that's a difficult one. And I don't mean to go out on a tangent, but it sometimes I just am reminded of certain rules. Don't be friends with people you're in business with, and don't be in business with friends. This is a tricky one because Jaime and Jason are friends. They would consider themselves very good friends. But then it comes back to stepping on shoes without those difficult conversations when you have to say to your friend, we can't do this, or we have to go in another direction, or we talked about this and decided that we weren't. And I can't tell you how many times that has to be navigated as well, because in your professional life, you want to be friends with the people that you work with. Yeah. Sometimes you have to have a relationship that departs from that friendship. So I really think that that's good advice. But I also have people argue it. I want to be in business with my friends, because at the end of the day, it's like, there's the heart. We're bros. We're together. We're going to get through this. And those two navigate that well. They're business partners. They are friends, but they know how to separate the two. And that's an art, if not anything.
Yeah. I have been in business with friends, and
tricky, right?
It's very tricky. It's very tricky. I also think that there's some action items as we kind of turn the page here a little bit on YourWay and that show that our audience can think about here. First of all, evaluate your partnerships. Mm-hmm. I have a member of the Ed Sales Elevation Experience, and we had a conversation very recently, and he's starting all these partnerships, and he came to me, he's like, I think I'm wasting my time. I'm like, you probably are. Feels fun to spin them up and talk about them. So evaluate your partnerships. Who can multiply your credibility the way a Penn did? Not everybody can go into a partnership with Penn. Check your founder traits. Rate yourself today on your persistence and your focus and your openness and your resilience. Where are you the weakest? And then maybe find a mentor that can help you with that weakness. It's okay to have weaknesses. I certainly know where mine are. And then build your humility loop. Add one step in your sales cycle where you explicitly gather buyer objections and reframe them into value. We do this in the Raise Your Hand campaign in the Ed Sales Elevation Experience, and it is a very tough step in the course because it is the time that I ask people to start accepting objections and rejections. Not only accept them, record them. Let's record every single conversation so we can extract as much out of it as possible. Therefore, you have to listen over and over again to the objections and the rejections. So those are some of the things as we close the book on Your Way and what I think we've learned from them. Anything else you want to add on that?
Yeah, I would say a couple. You said a lot there, and I was quiet because violent agreement. One of the things that you said that I think is really important that we reiterate, and that is sitting with objections. I'm going to say it a little bit differently in terms of some advice here, and I'm going to use Your Way as an example of how they do it. Head off the objections before they come up.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what they're going to be. So in the case of Your Way, the number one objection they get a lot is, oh, we are already working with Magic School. So they got we're already working with the company that's raised hundreds of millions and is worth $1 billion. Why do we want to work with you? So the number one thing they do is they don't ever say Magic School, right? They never talk poorly about a competitor, but they say, you may be working with someone that seems to be similar to what you think we're doing. But let me tell you how we think about this AI-powered platform differently. We see it through the lens of pedagogy. We see it through the lens of student engagement. We see it through the lens of aligning to standards. And while some of our competitors, I didn't see their name, jumped out of the gates and are doing some really interesting things, and I have a lot of respect for them. A couple of the things that they don't do: insert your moats here in plain English.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's heading off the objections before they get ahead of you.
Yeah. We talked earlier today in the cohort about the Raise Your Hand campaign. And one of the questions that we were asked, which is a good one, is, how do I know what my perfect clients need help with? And I think that was this particular member of the cohort being, a little humble. And I said, tell me the top 3 challenges that your perfect client has. She was like, boom, boom, and boom. I was like, you know them. You know them over and over again. That's why you've got a great product.
In general, she knew them or he knew them? You said she, right?
She, yes. In general, she knew them.
As they related to the solution that she provides to that problem, or in general?
As she could relate the product to those challenges, yes. But we were talking in generalities about the challenges of her perfect client.
Got it. That's interesting.
And that's but that's where the objections are as well. The objections are embedded in those challenges. We've tried this before doing this. We've tried that before doing that. Nothing solved it. But what we were really looking for in a Raise Your Hand campaign is just the message, the words. You tell me in your words what the problem is. Yeah. And then I will relate it to my solution.
I love in these conversations the role play too. The coaching that you do with your clients and the coaching that I do with mentees is, all right, I'm going to be the superintendent now. And based on working with you for a while in a couple of sessions, I know what they're. So I'm the superintendent. You ready, Josh? I love this, but it's going to be very hard for my team to buy in and get them to love it. You got to be ready for that. Like, that's a 101 typical Dazzle CYA for the superintendent.
Totally.
And you can't say, well, maybe they will love it. No, you'll say, yeah, I know it's tough to get buy-in on new things, and it's tough to get buy-in and have your stakeholders really believe when you see something that you like, that it could deliver value for them. So here's what I would suggest humbly, and I'd even use the word humbly, with humility. You know how to manage your stakeholders best, superintendent, but here's what I would suggest. Let's get on one more call and bring them into the fold and You explain what you think you saw, and I'll reinforce what you saw, because you did see what you saw, and be interested, not interesting, interested in what would make them buy in. Oh, that sounds good. Let's do that. And then you're on
Yeah.
your way to a 2 or 3 call close.
Nice. Let's talk about where we will be 1 week from today.
Wow. Here we go.
We will be in
And by the way,
New York City.
and leading into that, a lot of these traits, a lot of this founder DNA, and a lot of these overcoming objections or heading off objections, it's not that they just have cool ideas, but these 7 finalists work with them now for 4 or 5, 6 months or longer. They're so, none of them are really Series A, and none of them are, definitely going to be a unicorn. But they're all showing nuggets. They're all showing signs that they can be leaders who step on shoes without losing their shine. They can be founders who can overcome objections or head off objections before they come in. They're founders that are able to anticipate the problems that a superintendent or a higher ed leader has before the question's even asked. So I'm just so proud of them. They've worked so hard. 7 of them will be there. 2 are international, 1 from Indonesia, another from Nepal, and then 5 others who distinguished themselves from a slate of 25 semifinalists down to 7. And they'll be pitching on the big stage. 5-minute pitch, 5-minute Q&A, and you'll be a judge, Josh. And we're just humbled and truly excited to have you be on that front row and judge them and learn more about them, and be the overseer of the Audience Choice Award.
Yeah, and amazing is that, so I've been doing this for several years, and this is not the first time I've sponsored an award, but the last time that I sponsored an award was during COVID. And so I believe I was in like Puerto Vallarta, because it wasn't an in-person experience.
Were you wearing a mask?
Down there in Mexico? No. Nah, COVID was
you were
over.
outside.
We were outside all the time. But the Milken Penn GSE Education Business Plan Competition started 2010. The competition has awarded more than $2 million in cash and prizes. Winners and finalists have gone on to secure more than $200 million in funding. And one of the really cool things about these finalists is when I look across the board here, Cosmic Writers, Resume, and Enlight App are 3 that I have seen in this competition several times. And I've met with them for many years. And there also happen to be 3 of like the coolest people in the world. And they finally have reached this place. So can you talk about, again, back to humility, about the feedback loop, everything? Talk about at least those 3 founders and how you've seen them grow. And I know you work more closely with them than I do.
Yeah, breaking my own rules. They've almost become friends.
Tough.
No,
though.
it is tough because they are so likable. So Rowanna from Cosmic Writers, born out of the University of Pennsylvania, Kelly Writers House, which is right on Locust Walk, a Penn Innovation
I know
Award
Locust Walk.
Yes,
I know
you do.
Locust Walk.
After yesterday, amazing founder. Resume with Jody Anderson, almost a decade incarcerated, now fighting for the rights of second chance job seekers. And Enlight App, from refugee camp in Tanzania to North Dakota to now developing one of the best student engagement platforms, AI powered, I've seen in a very long time, DMRC. These guys and woman were crushed last year when they didn't make it to the finals. And they said, never again. And they worked and they've worked and they've worked, and they got to the semifinals this year, and this year they made it to the finals. So we're so proud of them. They're doing yeoman's work. One in the area of writing education, another in the area of workforce development tools for second chance job seekers, and the other in K-12 and actually primary school student engagement, which is theory of action, theory of change, which is if a teacher knows the general interests of the student, the teacher will be able to better differentiate their instruction. And DM's really, really focused in that lens and through that lens. So those are three.
It's funny, the EdTech Insider Awards came out last week, or there's an email that went out or something, and I heard from 3 separate people asking me, should I apply for this? And I get that question a lot, whether it's South by Southwest EDU, or whether it's the EdTech Insider Awards, or it's applying for Penn GSE competition, the Milken competition. And my take on it is that depending on the cost and how long it's going to take you, I always think they're worth it. Because
well, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Let me see if I can. Hold on. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No. What were you going to say?
We're all tired.
What were you going to say? I lost my train of thought.
So what I was saying is you have to apply to all of these, but I thought you were going to say what makes the Milken different. So I love South by Southwest EDU launch. I love EdTech Week and the Shark Tanks. I love ASU GSV Gold Cup. But what distinguishes us is hands-on support through the competition. So you're not only just competing for real cash and prizes, but you are applying, and then the semifinals phase gives you an opportunity to go through 4 or 5 months of hands-on acceleration to get your business from, in most cases, ideation and angel fundraising stages to being in a position to go to seed, C+, or Series A financing. And so you talk about getting to know these founders. Now, in some cases, for 3 of the 7, 2 years now and longer, I met DM at EdTech Week. And then for the other 4, these become, I feel in many cases, my children. And now only 4 can win, but all of them have worked so hard and all of them are deserving.
What's the I'm not sure what the data point I'm looking for here is, but can you talk about the number of companies that make it as a semifinalist that then do go on to be a finalist that then do go on to be a winner? If people keep putting in that work, like people keep coming back as much as they get knocked down and disappointed, do you see that in advancement because you guys put that work in?
Yeah, and it's bilateral, right? We put a lot of work into supporting them, but they have to put the work in to demonstrate that they're worthy of finalist status. So our rubric, it starts with, when you apply, you get a quality score from 60 democratized judges who read 6 of the same application 6 times. So there's a lot of inter-rater reliability there and objectivity there. So it starts with, what is your quality score? It then moves into, all right, how much do you engage in this community of entrepreneurial practice through Catapult and our advanced member program? How much do you engage with your cohort? So we measure that. Then we ask them to do an elevator pitch, and they get measured on that, on how well they do on stage. And that mishmash all comes together, and we come up with an ultimate score and decide who would be the best 7 who are going to distinguish themselves on the main stage. And it's the culminating event of the Holland IQ Back to School Summit. If anybody's in New York, it's free. You can come to our Milken EBPC Finals, 2:00 on Thursday, September 11th. just go to, Milken Ed competition online, and you'll see the big red button for registering for the finals. Again, it's free. It's in New York, and you'll be amongst some of the biggest and brightest stars in ed tech, including the great Josh Chernikoff, one of our judges.
I will be up there. I will take the train up on the 10th, the morning of the 10th, and then I will head out on the night of the 11th. So we'll have some time together. I think we've done a good job here of covering YourWay. I think we've done a good job of covering the Milken competition, of why people potentially enter these competitions and that they should. And I think we also need to do a show just on competitions, and we will. For now, I'm going to take a page out of the John Gamba book, and generally John ends his entrepreneur breakthroughs with a moment of Zen. And Ken, we are going to end this show with some moments of Zen. So Ken, if you can fire up moment number one for our people, there you go.
Yay!
You have
look how sweet she is. She's the best.
She's a good kid. Tell the audience where we are.
First of all, the sun's out, guns out, bro.
Dude.
We are at the center of campus. I got it. We are at the center of campus. That's the famous love statue. Literally right around 35th Street, and right on the center of campus, right off of Locust Walk. One of my favorite places on campus. Beautiful day, 80 degrees. Awesome place for a picture.
Moment of Zen number 2, Ken. Very smiley there, John.
Yeah. It was a tough day yesterday, but it was brightened up by this. And I think we were talking potential playlists for Benson Boone. I think we were talking about other artists who we like, and we were talking about what we were going to order at a great sushi restaurant in South Philly.
And for those of you who are wondering, no, I do not allow Camila. We do not allow Camila to wear that whatever's on her lips and on her cheeks. But for Benson Boone, she was allowed to. Moment number 3, Ken. This girl was rocking out at the FU Center, which is not the FU Center anymore. It's the Wells Fargo. But just
was this
out.
Beautiful Things? That looks like Beautiful Things right there.
She really looks like it's Beautiful Things. But I got to tell you, this guy, he's the type of guy that you'd be really proud. Sure, this gets said about you all the time. You'd be really proud to bring home. Benson Boone seems like just a really humble, good guy, excited about the fame he has in his future, but not over his skis. And so I really enjoyed the show. And you could see that by the last picture here, Ken.
Oh, yes.
Chilling.
Awesome.
We were chilling.
Is that at the concert too, or is that at?
That's at the concert, and we had perfect seats. So basically the stage that he has is you would think probably the length of the basketball court, and we were in the second row of the 200s. Perfect for hockey.
Oh, good. Perfect. Yes. No, I saw those seats. They were really good. They were really great for her to see him in all his glory.
Yeah. My wife said those are good seats. I'm like, it's not my first time at the concert rodeo. So thank you, Ken, for showing these pictures. I think it's important that we let people know, and you know that I do this quite often in LinkedIn, that we've got lives, we've got a friendship. We don't agree on everything, especially when it comes to sports, except for beating the Cowboys. But most other things we don't agree on. Next week we'll be in New York. So if anybody has a chance to come by, let's hang out. There's more to life than building our businesses, except sometimes I think we forget that. And yesterday was a reminder for me. and our friendship and being able to take her on the University of Pennsylvania John Gamba tour.
And helped her almost shit her pants.
And absolutely.
In a good way.
In a real way. And in a good way. But she did great. So again, thank you. Thank you for being my friend. Traveled down the road and back again. Good conversation here about YourWay. We're going into the Milken competition next week. We're going to have to probably rearrange when we do our live for next week. So I think we'll do it Friday. I don't know if you'll be able to join on Friday, but maybe we could do a Milken recap.
We'll make it happen for sure.
Yeah. So let's see. But thank you for joining everybody who came. I'm seeing some chatter in some of our other channels. I appreciate that. Hopefully this was a good discussion for you, not only about YourWay, not only about Milken, but also just about the community and the family that we all have.
Absolutely.
And Benson Boone.
And go Birds.
I knew that was coming. Beat Dallas.
AGLES Eagles.
Beat
I'll
Dallas.
see you, my friend.
See you guys.